Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about, is Dick Grayson still a detective? You know, I've been wondering something ever since season 1. During season 1, we see that he's a detective, and he has left Bruce. And what's interesting is after the first episode, he leaves Detroit. That's where he lives at and works at. And then he goes and helps Rachel. Since then, he has not been back to Detroit. Since then, we have had no word or confirmation if he is still a detective, if not. Since then, he hasn't even had no contact with anybody from his police department since episode 2 of season 1. So it's really confusing. And not to mention, at the end of season 2, he was a fugitive and was locked up. And they mentioned that he was a cop, but that's about it. And so it's kind of curious to wonder, is this dude still a police officer or not? And also, how did he jump the ranks of being a detective so quickly? Because, okay, in season 1, season 1, episode 2, it was the Hawk and Dove episode. And it stated that there was a flashback about, 4 years or so, 3-4 years. And back then, he used to just hang out with Hawk and Dove, but Bruce wouldn't really let him because they was too rough. And so, during that time, he hasn't left Bruce yet. But it's also revealed in that episode, they haven't seen him in a very long time. So if that flashback for 4 years, around 4 years or so, they had a falling out. Now, it's kind of confusing as to what the falling out was, because there's two different possibilities. In season 1, it's revealed that him and Dove had a thing, and that really pissed Hank off because he really liked Dove. So that whole love triangle soured their friendship. But then in season 2, we find out that when he used Jericho for bait, and the whole Deathstroke Slade thing, that pissed off all the Titans, and they had to disband because Slade told them plain and simple, if y'all form y'all group again, I will come after y'all. So it's really conflicting as to what really broke them up. Plus, in season 1, there's no indication whatsoever that the Titans formed before the new incarnation of it. Also, in season 2, we find out the Titans have been a group for a number of years, but it had to be around a 4-year time. So when exactly did they break up with the whole Deathstroke thing? See, it's so confusing because the writers and the showrunners are just making stuff up as they go, and they're not staying consistent. So let us surmise that within that 4-year period, at some point in time, he left Bruce, and he went to Detroit to become a detective. So that means within the span of anywhere between 1 to 4 years, he jumped the ranks and became a detective like that fast? That don't make no sense. You can't become a detective that fast. You gotta I'm pretty sure you have to be at least a police officer first and get some training in before you can become a detective. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, but I might be wrong because I've never been a cop. But you think that's how it will work first, you know? And so, yeah, the dude literally just became a detective extremely fast. And so now the big question is, once again, is he still a detective? Because he hasn't called into his department since the second episode of season 1. And now we're in the 3rd season. Also, what happened to the place he was living at? Does his land, who's paying the rent there? Also, if he's not a detective no more, how is he paying for stuff? In season 1, he was just traveling all around and living in hotel to hotel. And then in season 2, he was staying at Titan's Tower. So who is funding Titan's Tower? Who is giving him money to stay all in season 1? And who is paying, and since he no longer has a job, who's paying for his apartment now? We know when he left Bruce, he didn't take none of Bruce's money. He's making his own money because he had to have Alfred wire him some money so that Rachel can live off on, because he was going to ditch her and leave her with Hawk and Dove. So where is he now getting his money from season 1 all the way to season 3? Well, in season 3, we know he's living with Bruce. Also, isn't he still a fugitive? Remember in season 2, he felt so ashamed for the stuff he did, and he felt he should pay justice. So he beat up a cop at an airport, which is a huge federal offense, and then he got thrown in bars. And they mentioned that he was a detective from Detroit. And then he bust out, became Nightwing, and there's no mention of him being a fugitive. Now he's back in Gotham, hanging with everybody, having everybody see his face, hanging with Barbara and stuff. And nobody's all like, oh, that's that former detective who beat somebody up at the airport. Let's throw him in jail. So what exactly is going on with the writing in this? It just seems so inconsistent. Like, I really truly feel every season of Titans is in a parallel dimension. That's the only way I can explain this, because there's no other way to explain it. It's just they make things up as they go, and it's so confusing. And as you know, I am allergic to bad writing. I am allergic to bad writing. Achoo! And you know, I don't like sneezing and coughing all the time. And it really pains me to have to be ill from bad writing. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.